I'm Elaine Rackley with Breaking Through News, reporting from the state capitol, where I just met with Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Fairfax oversees the Senate, and today was veto day.
Our regular session was from mid-January to mid-March. I actually began presiding over the Senate on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We're now in our veto session. We're considering the governor's amendments and vetoes, and that process will play out over the next couple of days.
If we do not pass and accept the governor's amendments, is there the potential for Hampton Roads, my parochial community, is there potential for Hampton Roads to lose revenues?
As Lieutenant Governor, you have several different responsibilities. Your primary responsibility is to preside over the Senate of Virginia. And so you actually help to move the legislative process forward. Each day that the Senate is in session, I'd stand up at the dais and recognize the senators and go through the calendar and all the other important motions and functions that we take on in the Senate. You also sit on a number of boards and commissions that deal with everything from economic development to the environment to higher education, all the key policy issues that the state has to take care of, and working closely with the governor, Governor Northam, who is a dear friend of mine, and of course was himself Lieutenant Governor of Virginia before becoming governor, has been really a joy.
I questioned the Lieutenant Governor, were there any unreasonable bills introduced during the Senate session?
There have been some that I've come across that immediately jump out at you as maybe not being the best idea. There were a couple that went down pretty badly on a bipartisan basis, but I can't recall exactly which one it was. I will say this, though. There have been far fewer of the traditionally bad bills that are put forward, for instance, curtailing women's reproductive health care or penalizing women. There have been far fewer of those bills this session than I believe we've had in prior sessions. And I think that is, in large part, a response to the election of 2017. I think we made it very clear that we're going to protect women's reproductive health care. We are going to make sure that women are treated equally, fight for quality of pay and otherwise. And so I think that message got sent loud and clear, and I think Virginians really sent that message. And so we've seen fewer and fewer of those, but we always have to stay vigilant. And so that also has been a positive thing.
The Lieutenant Governor says there were numerous issues they wanted to see resolved, and at the top of the list, health care.
Healthcare is such a critical issue. It was the #1 issue in our campaign in 2017, and I think will remain a top issue going forward. The good news is that we believe we are very close on potentially expanding Medicaid in Virginia, which is something that for the last number of years didn't seem possible. It was being blocked, but following the election in 2017, where we won all 3 statewide offices and actually picked up the Democrats' 15 seats in the House of Delegates, bringing it to near parity in the House of Delegates, I think it sent a signal to people that this issue is one whose time has come. It would cover upwards of 400,000 more Virginians with affordable health insurance, and that's something that just makes us all better. Not to mention the economic activity that would generate, creating 30,000 jobs. We had given away about $10.4 billion in federal money by not having expanded Medicaid, giving away about a little over $6 million per day. And so now we're going to recapture a lot of those dollars that have been going out to other states that have expanded Medicaid, and very excited and hopeful that Virginia will approve the legislation and will join the other states in enacting Medicaid expansion.
But healthcare is not the only campaign promise Governor Ralph Northam and Lieutenant Governor Fairfax are working to fulfill.
I would say during this session, we've had a number of things that have happened. We're actually working on finalizing the Metro funding bill right now, which was an important piece of legislation, and considering the governor's recommendations and amendments to that bill. There have been a number of other things that I believe will be very helpful in the Commonwealth of Virginia to spreading economic opportunity, social justice, and other things that we really all care about. We had bills dealing with reducing suspensions for students, the length of time that someone can be suspended long term, which is, I think, a key component of addressing the school-to-prison pipeline. issue, which is something that we have vowed to fight to dismantle in Virginia, to make sure children from all backgrounds get a chance to achieve their God-given potential and aren't derailed early in their lives.
Justin Fairfax is the second African American to serve as Virginia's lieutenant governor.
It's humbling, and I feel very grateful for the opportunity. Of course, another political hero of mine is Governor L. Douglas Wilder, who is just a tremendous man and who I seek advice from regularly. He really is tremendous. And of course, as you mentioned, he was lieutenant governor, was elected in 1985, and then elected to be governor in 1989, the first African American ever to be elected statewide here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, or to be elected governor in the United States of America. And so he is someone who I'm very blessed to know and to get to talk to. And so it really is a wonderful thing. I think it sends a signal to people that it's important that we have diversity, in every aspect of American life, and the talent resides everywhere, in every shape and form, and it's important that we unlock and give people opportunities so that they too can rise, and that's something that I hope our term represents.
The lieutenant governor explained the legacy of Inauguration Day for his family.
Inauguration Day was very special. January 13th, 2018 was my mother's birthday as well, which was really a wonderful thing. And so I had my whole family here, my wife's family, and they all gathered in the Capitol, which was really special. And actually something really great happened. My father, who was here, presented me with what was the manumission document for my great-great-great-grandfather, Simon Fairfax, who was freed from the 9th Lord Fairfax in 1798 here in Virginia. And the document had just been discovered that week in the Fairfax County Courthouse, and my dad gave it to me 20 minutes before I walked out of the Capitol to take the oath of office for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. So really was an amazing thing, and something we'll never forget.
Fairfax appeared to be calm as he took the oath of office. His colleagues say that was a clue of how natural he is at serving as Virginia's lieutenant governor.
Actually, no. I did not rehearse it. We did have the oath given to us that day, but it felt very natural. There was a lot about that day that was, surreal. It was exciting, but it also felt, like it was a very natural thing to have happen. And so my kids, fortunately, behaved well during the ceremony, and they enjoyed it. My wife had a great time, and there were just thousands of people there, and I think the mood was really positive and hopeful.
He told me the significance of being sworn in by a close friend and advisor.
He is a hero and a mentor of mine. His name is Judge Gerald Lee. He is a retired federal judge. He also sat on the Fairfax County Circuit Court during his career, but I actually clerked for him. It was my first job out of law school. I was as a law clerk for Judge Lee. I had interned for him when I was in law school, and I knew from that internship experience that he was the one judge that I wanted to work for. And so actually when I graduated from Columbia Law School, I only applied to one judge in the country. And I didn't know that I would get it, but I knew that if I didn't get it, I'd probably just try again, because I knew that he was the one I wanted to work for. And so fortunately, I was able to be accepted as his law clerk, and we've had a lifelong relationship. He actually married my wife and I during the clerkship. So he performed our wedding ceremony, and he's someone we're very close to. He and his wife Edna are just amazing people. So he did perform my oath of office, and we actually had a special dispensation by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Virginia, because Judge Lee had retired several months earlier as a federal judge, but we contacted the Supreme Court and Senate Clerk's office, and they were able to appoint Judge Lee as a judge for one day so that he would be able to administer this oath. So it really was a wonderful thing.
Fairfax faced Jill Vogel in the race for the lieutenant governor's seat.
So Senator Vogel is of course serving in the Senate representing Fauquier, and it's been great actually. I've developed a really strong and good relationship with her. Of course, we were in an election together, and had to travel around the state, sharing our respective visions for lieutenant governor's office, and it was a hard-fought election. And but once it was resolved, I think we were able to sort of come together and say, well, how can we work together and with colleagues on both sides of the aisle to expand opportunity here in Virginia. And I think at the end of the day, that's the mission that we all should be on together. We sometimes have different ways of trying to get there, but it's making sure that everyone gets a shot at the American dream. And that's really my passion, and I've been proud to get to join in with others to try to make that a reality for families here all throughout Virginia.
As he recalled the night he was elected, I asked him to share his thoughts when the Democrats swept the top 3 offices in the state.
Election night was wonderful. And November 7th, again, another day that we'll never forget in 2017. But the crowd was electric. People were just incredibly excited about the statewide sweep for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, but also picking up the 15 seats in the House of Delegates was something that made that night particularly special and memorable. And I think it just was a hopeful tone. We had run a campaign based on hope and opportunity and a really positive message, and it was gratifying to see that message resonate so well. Of course, we got the most votes in history of the Commonwealth of Virginia for lieutenant governor and for the other offices as well. So that's a really wonderful feeling and thing to have happen. And of course, again, my family was there, my wife, our 2 kids, our extended family, and they were very excited about that night and about the possibilities that lie ahead.
As the senators addressed Lieutenant Governor Fairfax during the session, they referred to him as Mr. President.
Mr. President, as a senator from Spotsylvania mentioned and read an email that you received from one of his constituents.
Now that I've done it so long, presiding over the Senate, and have gotten the flow of it, I don't notice it that often, but that is the title that they give to the lieutenant governor, is the president of the Senate. And so it's a wonderful thing, and the traditions that they have in the Senate, many of them are really wonderful and geared toward creating a cordial and collegial environment. And I try to do my part to really add to that, to treat everyone fairly, to make sure that we keep a tone of civility and let everyone know that we can sometimes disagree without being disagreeable. You're not always going to have the same opinion. But we still can have an environment where people respect each other and treat each other well. Well, as you may say, call me Mr. President in the Senate, so in some respects you're there. But, I don't know what the future holds, and, I am deeply grateful for this opportunity and honored by it. I'm 39 years old and was elected at the age of 38, and so, God willing, you have time to have a long and happy, healthy career in life, and really everything is dictated by my family because, our 2 children, we have an 8-year-old son, a 6-year-old daughter, they're kind of the center of our lives, and so I want to make sure that they are well adjusted, that they have opportunity, and know that we love them, and that I can spend as much time with them as I possibly can, given everything else on our plate. But it's always family first for us, and but it's service as well comes in a close second. I care deeply about the mission of giving people the same shot in life that I was blessed to have. The story that we've gotten to live is really one that only happens in America. It only happens because people love you, give you opportunity, and help you beat the odds. And I really have dedicated my life to try to do that for other people. So we don't know what the future holds, but I will tell you, I will look forward to serving in many different capacities for years to come, hopefully.
In Richmond, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through News.